It's Visual Journal Friday. If you'd like to know more about visual journaling, what it is, how it's different than keeping a regular sketchbook, how I use it with my students, how I think it could be helpful for you as an artist to grow, then check out my more in-depth description in episode 1 of the Visual Journal Friday series. Also, you can check out my blog post where I go into a lot of detail about it. I will have that link in the description below. Hello all. Today we're looking at, this is book number 8. There's the 8. This book, I'm just going to go ahead and say, is lacking in my opinion because this was the year that I also was playing around with an idea with a friend called Tiny Tradables. This is an example of one of the Tiny Tradables. This was a book that I shared with my art teacher friend, and we passed it back and forth each week, and we each drew in it. And this was spawned by a workshop with an organization, Tetrad, and I think you could probably look that up online and find the results of theirs, Tetrad. And we ran with it, and we got these books for all of our students, and each of my students was given a random number and her students were given a random number, and then they were paired off, and each week those numbers traded. And I had a book, and my fellow art teacher friend had a book, and we also traded. And so everybody ended up with a book with art of theirs and their partners. And then we had a culminating activity where they met, and we had like a little picnic in the park, and they got to hang out and see their fellow artists. But this was going on at the same time that I was doing this book. So this book just doesn't have as much effort put into it because I was also working on this and was enjoying this much more at the time. So I'll set that aside and we'll go through this, and then this will be the next Visual Journal Fridays book. So let's go ahead and check it out. There's just a square piece of paper with a square drawn on it, glued on the front. There are some claw marks in gold paint, and nothing on the back. Definitely not my typical visual journal cover. This was a Tiny Tradable artist trading card that I received at some art event that I went to. This is something fun that some art teachers do with their students, and I did it once and I haven't done it again, but they can make little cards to trade, tradable artist cards, and just put random art on it and then trade it, and it's fun. Okay, so there's my oath that I always start my visual journals. Some random ephemera from different things going on. This was a bathroom pass that I was thinking about implementing, and I think did at some point. Pretty funny. It's the Marcel Duchamp fountain, and it says, "I'm missing out on an important educational experience because I have to tinkle," and I made a little necklace that they had to wear around their neck. But I don't know, that's pretty obnoxious, so I've not followed through with that. And just random collage stuff. Here is a drawing of some ideas for my tattoo, and I think I photocopied this and took to my tattoo artist Albert Martinez, that then tattooed that basic idea onto my arm. Sorry, that's upside down, but you get the idea. That's from my favorite artwork by Hokusai, The Great Wave off Kanagawa, which is actually, I don't know if you know that is a series of woodblock prints. There's like 30 of them. He's amazing. He did so many more than just the one that everybody knows. Painting with Coffee, notes about teacher stuff, pretty boring. I put some watercolor on it. It's still pretty boring. Trying to draw a bicycle, because bicycles are hard to draw. This says, I don't care what the internet says, the groundhog is my spirit animal. And I still feel that way. I don't know. I just really like groundhogs. And I get really excited when I see them on the side of the road. This is a woman's face that I made into a volcano. That is some lesson planning notes. A drawing of a tree and some transfers of trees from Xerox copies. I glued a leaf in, and that looks like I transferred maybe a poem about a tree on there. You can do chemical transfers with inkjet printing with a chemical called xylene that you can buy in Goof Off, and people say that acetone works too, but I have not had luck with that. This has to do with every year I teach a tree project with my Art 2 students, so that was probably inspired by that. Warm-up notes, pretty piece of paper I found that I glued in there. Some more notes. This is another activity I do with kids at the beginning of every year where there's these 5 shapes: circle, triangle, square, cross, and spiral. You're supposed to rank them without knowing their inherent meaning, and then I talk about how throughout history, throughout geography, culture, religion, these symbols have been found to mean certain things universally. And so then I tell them what they mean, and we try to interpret how they were ranked in this person's life. Each student sort of analyzes themselves and psychoanalyzes themselves about why are their priorities the way they are. And then we draw an artwork using those shapes. And this was mine that year. This says, routine work is a death sentence. And there's some sort of journaling on the back of that I've cut apart. Tick marks representing routine work. Basic forms and how to shade them. Starting the still life project I do with my students, they paint and learn how to do still life. This is me trying to draw the Great Wave off Kanagawa, again by Hokusai. And then this is the poem by Bruce Lee, or I don't know if it's a poem, but it was a spoken word thing that he said, be like water. Be like water making its way through cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object, and you shall find a way around or through it. If nothing within you stays rigid, if nothing within you stays rigid, outward things will disclose themselves. Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless like water. If you put water in a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle and it becomes the bottle. You put it into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. So this felt very important to me because I was getting into jiu-jitsu. So was my son. And jiu-jitsu is very much about being like water. You're not being forceful or offensive as much as you're learning to react to your partner and finding their mistakes and flowing in those cracks. More notes. Boring. I like to do these Rorschach things every once in a while, but I didn't actually make that into anything. But it's pretty. I really liked the idea of the flesh tone on top of this Payne's gray background, and it ended up being creepy in a way that I didn't mean it to, but I did some blind contours of a face and then also of one of my daughter's dolls. And then I painted it, sort of practicing flesh tone colors. in acrylic paint, and it looks really like horrific, but it wasn't really meant to be. I was just practicing flesh tones. Notes on my empty bowls event that I do. My cousins. Stuff. This is about construction for our school. Our school is very old. It's over 100 years old, and they're going to be renovating and adding on to it within the next few years, and I'm very excited. But it was a really long battle to get the county to agree to what we wanted, which was to preserve the historic building within the new construction rather than tearing it down or taking it away from us. And so this is just drawings of the different plans that were proposed by the first architects. We don't even have the same architects anymore. It was that big of a battle. And that's a flower. More notes. You keep seeing ASW. That's, whew, I don't even want to go into it. Public school teaching stuff, North Carolina, grr. Yeah. Cool doodles and drawings and stuff. I like the way this looks. I like brown more than I realize. It's fun. I need to get another toned ground brown book. I don't know why. I mean, that's like was my favorite book. I don't know why I've never gotten another one. Spoiler alert, I never got another one. Yeah. Oh, a student, this is my student Chris that graduated a few years ago. He did that page. And this too, I believe. Art is a lie that tells the truth. Picasso. I wrote that, but I think Chris drew this on top of that. And notes about being an idealist and some people. Yeah, this feels very shallow and not well developed to me, so that's why I'm not really talking about it. This is a pretty wash. I think I bought this, I invested in and was experimenting with a new type of paper. This paper is very thick. This was supposed to be a multimedia book, but I don't know, this is pretty, but I think I was a little upset with the way it dealt with watercolor in general, so I just didn't, I don't know, or maybe the paper was too intimidating because it was so high quality. I don't remember. I just didn't do very well with it. This is a sketch for a bear I did for our downtown. And I just recently did another bear. And it should be, if I haven't already published that video, it'll be coming real soon. My downtown bear. Love-hate tattoo no longer exists, but that's where I got this tattoo. Albert Martinez. Pretty awesome. Go find him in Colorado if you're there. This was a student of mine that passed away. He was murdered, actually, at a party. Kyle Sherlin. I have lost quite a few students over the years, and it's pretty sad. But when you know a lot of people, I guess the numbers are not on your side for that sort of thing. Books to read with Liam. And a letter to future Liam. And then a letter to future Nayeli. Liam's soccer schedule. That, I don't know. He doesn't do soccer anymore. Finding a new doctor, school improvement strategy, blah, 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 boring, boring, boring. And lots of stuff stuck in the back that I never did anything with. This is a note from my friend. She says, look at all this stuff just laying around making us miss you. Stuff, stuff, stuff. Oh, this is an invitation to one of my students' quinceañeras. That's cute. And paper samples, thank you notes. That's one of my students that moved away. Miss her. And pictures of my friends and my boy. My daughter wasn't in school yet, so I don't have a picture of her yet. These are people I work with that I love. They're awesome. Okay, so that book was a pretty quick review because there's just not that much to it, but next week we will review, next installment we'll review the Tiny Tradable that I was doing at the same time again that caused me not to do much in here because I had 2 books going on. You'll enjoy this. And there'll be a guest artist in there. Yay! Alright, see ya. Thank you. Bye. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe. Click the bell icon in order to get more notifications. And don't forget to check out my paintings and my merch like this shirt on Hoelscherart.com. Bye.